Breaking news into First Take. Adam Schefter tweeted moments ago, Pete Carroll and the Raiders now have reached an agreement on a 3-year deal.
Pete Carroll's the coach to go build up the Raiders.
The days in Los Angeles at FC as really the building blocks of the philosophy that we were able to take to Seattle. I know that rhythm, and I'm expecting that rhythm. I'm anticipating that we're going to find that rhythm right here, right now.
The Las Vegas Raiders have been doing some amazing things within this offseason. Of course, we saw what they have done with the additions within the offseason, with the Geno Smith acquisition, of course, with the new head coach and Pete Carroll in the building, Chip Kelly as the offensive brain behind the organization. We know and understand there's going to be a lot of run-heavy acclamation set to the team. Raheem Mostert coming into that running back position, Jeremy Chin, along with a few others. We're going to talk about that, of course, but we have got to talk about the litany, the absolute litany of draft capital that you guys were able to acquire. Of course, we're going to get into a big deep dive into Ashton Jeanty, pause on that one, Jack Bech, Darien Porter we got to talk about. And then the last pick that you guys have picked up, Cody Lindenberg. I got to talk about his absolute impact that he will have as soon as he enters the building. I am excited and ready to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders because it looks as if like this team cares more. There's a new energy, and I'm not saying you guys didn't care when AP was in the building. I think if anything, you guys cared to an exuberant amount that I've seen since I guess John Gruden was there. Like, emotion just matters so much for a team, an organization like the Raiders, the once Oakland Raiders. Like, emotion, passion, culture, all of those things matter, right? And so I think when you get an Ashton Jeanty, a grit, grimy, dirty type of runner with the ball, and then a Jack Bech kind of guy who has had a very hard personal life off the field, but also shows that same amount of aggression on the field. We're definitely going to get into that. But first thing I want to talk about is how last year ended, right, for you guys. So there's no fact of the matter, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That Aiden O'Connell as the starting quarterback, that can't be the long-term plan. That can't even really be a short-term plan. We're bringing Geno Smith. Aiden O'Connell, along with Gardner Minshew last year, were able to put up a very disappointing 4-13 record, having points scored at the 29th, having a 25th overall offense with a 30th overall defense. When you have guys like Max Crosby on your defense, that's absolutely not okay whatsoever. And so what we do is we're going to head up the draft boards. First, we actually have to extend and pay and make Max Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. You know, all that money to go further in the conversation, all that money, every single dollar has been earned, right? We need to talk about Max Crosby, his life, how he's started and where he's been and where he is at now. It's beautiful to see in that realm. Now, let's get into these draft prospects because I'm excited. I'm happy to talk about it. First things first, we got to talk about Ashton Jeanty. I think the main thing that makes him great is his center of gravity, right? The balance, the contact balance. Like, we're not going to see any arm tackles on Mr. Ashton Jeanty. There's going to be multiple times where it's going to have to be 2 to 3 guys that are going to take him down. He just bounces off people. He looks like one of those ball players where it hurts to tackle him. Like, you don't want to do it. He's a 5'9", short, compact, 220, big type of guy. Therefore, and he knows he can hit that extra gear and speed. He's a guy that when ball carriers come up to tackle him, he can run through them. He can run past them. He can go over them even. And so that type of anxiety that tackler is going to have when they meet up with him one-on-one, he is going to be in the driver position most of the time, 100%. Like, he's going to be the hammer, not the nail in a lot of those situations and ordeals. So I do want to preface a few things about him. He can catch the ball. He just didn't do it a lot at Boise State. I was having a little bit of issues with a few Raiders fans talking about, you know, they can't see him catch the ball in the backfield. It's just that he didn't do it at Boise State, but he can definitely catch the ball. There was a lot of opportunities where we were actually able to see him during a few games of the film breakdown, but at the end of the day, a player like Ashton Jeanty, he is going to bring life into the offense. He is going to bring a running threat on the ground. And I'm just so excited and overwhelmed for the Raiders. I actually got him at the one-on-one spot in my Dynasty League, so very, very happy. And I actually got another player, Mr. Jack Bech, TCU wide receiver, former LSU guy as well. So we got to talk about that. I think that beautifully brings more context into this player. Him starting his journey as a Louisiana kid, goes and accepts a Louisiana State University offer, and he's there, he's playing, he's there with, you know, all the boys that you know, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, like he's there with them, right, as a freshman. And so he, of course, doesn't really understand his opportunities. You know, there's sometimes, I don't know if you guys know this either, but Mr. Jack Bech is a 6'4" receiver that has tight end versatility. You know, once upon a time, he was getting tight end reps at LSU. And so I'm not saying, you know, Brock Bowers very much has that position on lock. Michael Mayer has that position as well as a tight end too. But you are going to be seeing a lot of mismatched nightmare situations with Jack Bech, him having that huge frame, being able to catch outside the radius of his body, having strong hands, having great run after catch ability, very strong, the jump ball, 50-50 type balls. If the player is not as strong as him, he's just going to box him out. He's just strong, he's just too big. And then when you hear things that he kind of plays with, a passion, a certain grit, of course, the passing of his older brother, that is, of course, a chip on his shoulder that he's going to be living with and going to be playing with. And it's good to really see his maturation. You know, this was a Senior Bowl MVP, won the Senior Bowl MVP, had multiple touchdowns. I think he had over 200 receiving yards. This is a guy at TCU, has had multiple games over 200 yards. Like, this guy is used to working. This is his whole ordeal. When you hear him talk, he is all ball. He's all about perfection and or just getting better. He has his priorities in line. This guy is just going to be a day one sensation for the Las Vegas Raiders. And then Darien Porter. I like Darien Porter because of the potential, right? This is a former wide receiver turned corner in the first breath. So it's like when the ball is in the air, especially at his, 6'3" frame, 6'3", 6'4" frame, like how tall and athletic as he is, like that's awesome. Like that's exactly what you want. His tackling ability is just going to need a little bit more work, but he's still willing, right? Him still being a bigger guy, he's willing to put his body in those situations to make the tackle. He definitely is going to need a lot more work, I think, and personally believe, having him out in zone, getting him to play a cloud cover 2 coverage, allowing him to kind of play the limbo in any smash concepts, allowing him to really judge the quarterback's eyes, having him sink back in cover 2 and come up on anything in front of him. I think he has a lot of potential, but this is a situation and or defensive player where he's going to need time, right? He's only been playing the cornerback position, I think, for 2 years, maybe 3. And so there's going to be a lot of mistakes, going to be a lot of issues in the very beginning of things. But I believe in the longest of long runs, he will get things figured out. And then the last guy that I'm going to mention, of course, you have so many other cats. Guys, let me know in the comments if you want me to do any other further breakdowns on the individual players that you guys drafted. I have no issue in doing that. But Cody Lindenberg, man, cannot believe this cat was a 7th rounder. I'm assuming his combine just wasn't that impressive or whatever, but Cody Lindenberg, oh my gosh, like this guy communicates beautifully before the snaps. He gets all of his guys in line and in charge and then gets them all set up with confidence. This guy is going to be playing within this first year, 100%. The simple fact that he was almost undrafted is crazy to me, absolutely crazy to me. But another thing is, like, he is built as a dude that's going to walk into the building and demand attention from the defensive coordinator, the linebacker coach. Like, he will get seen very, very early and very quickly. Very physical, runs to the ball after the whistle type of linebacker. Once again, the quarterback of the defense, able to get guys lined up beautifully. When he arrives to make the tackle, there is a presence, there is an umph, there is an emphasis, there is something that he's trying to do to the ball carrier, not just separate the ball from the ball carrier, but trying to make sure that that ball carrier feels that hit tomorrow. And so there is a true agenda with this draft. There is a true emotion, theme, and the players that you guys drafted. It's all grit and grime and doing it the dirty way. And I know you guys are in Las Vegas. Things are beautiful and shiny and bright and expensive, and there's so many celebrities. It's turning into like the New York / LA of things in Las Vegas. But I would like to think that this is still very much the DNA of those Oakland Raiders, those fiends, those psychopaths. And I think that this draft, along with a few other players and Caleb Rogers, Dante Thornton, that I really like, you guys have made legitimate strides to bring back that championship pedigree. And I think you're all on your way. You're on your way. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe.